to make her valedictory statement.
Tēnā koe, te kaiwaka wā o tēnei whare.
Tēnā koe.
E rere kau mai te awa nui mai te kāhui maunga ki Tangaroa, ko au te awa, ko te awa ko au. There is nowhere that I feel more at peace than in the still tranquility of the Whanganui River, te awa tupua, our lifeblood, our tribal heartbeat, the sacred umbilical cord that unites us from the mountain to the sea. Every year our iwi come together to connect as one through the journey that we call the Tira Hoi Waka. In many ways, the last 18 years in this place have been like that same journey that we take, a journey of hope, hope for a better future for our mokopuna. Our hikoi always starts in the spirit of those who watch over us. Today I remember those who paved the way before me to restore our right to see Te Treaty o Waitangi as the first relationship agreement between tangata whenua and with the government representing the Crown. I am proud to uphold the Treaty o Waitangi, the kaupapa and tikanga of our people in all that I have done in this environment. My tūpuna have walked before me, they've walked beside me, and my mokopuna will carry those philosophies on as we build nationhood in this country that we all love. I am genealogically linked to ngā waira ki Ngāti Apa, te awa tupua o Whanganui, ngā rauru ki Tai, and Ngāti Tūware Toa. It is to these people that I will return when I leave here at the end of my parliamentary term. Those who have growled me, those who have reminded me of my place, and yet who have loved me despite. I was raised by my grandmother, Hoki Waiwai, my aunt Mihi Tarina, and Tariuha Manawaro Te Awi, my precious dad, who was my dad, though he was not my father. When I was 8, I became a whāngai to my wonderful aunts at Pūtiki. My Auntie Wai and Auntie Pairoa had huge expectations of me. I was brought up to believe that doing what was right was more important than doing what was popular. They instilled discipline and strong whānau values in me, to love unconditionally, to be the best at whatever I did. When I came to Parliament with Labour in 1996, I followed in the footsteps of whānau, Toko Uru Rātana, Machu Rātana, and Iriaka Rātana. They came here to honour the kawenata their papa had with Michael Joseph Savage of the Labour Party. Today I ask, as an uri of their iwi, what happened to that kawenata? When will the morehu and the iwi of our country see the outcomes that Tahu Pōtiki Wiremu Rātana sought for us all, yet has never been honoured? To Chester, Nathan, Jonathan and Ian, those of you who are part of my electorate too, I want to mihi to you all and to say to you how proud I have been to walk alongside of you and for your friendship, and I have so appreciated that. There are others that have watched over me too, that I will forever cherish the memories that I carry with me. My cousin, the late Sir Archie Taiaro, supported me all the way through my political career, and I would call him for his wise counsel. Archie stood with me when I resigned from the Labour government at Rātana, and I will never forget that. When I was thinking of leaving, he talked to me about the experience of Machu Rata, whom he himself had encouraged to leave, not realising at the time that our people would forget his sacrifice and not vote for him. Archie worried that the same thing would happen to me, that our people would forget. I was able to reassure him that I would always be political, whether I was here or outside of Parliament, and that in the end I had to live with myself. And there is no greater challenge than to be true to one's own self. I think about my cousin Rangitihi Tahupārai, who worked for many years here at Parliament. the most distinguished and eloquent orator in either language, and he taught me to love all that we are, to walk with pride in the knowledge of our whakapapa. The late Dr. Iri Hapati Ramsden, a wonderful friend and whanaunga, was another one who, when I found myself in trouble here, which seemed to happen a bit, would always appear in the public gallery, so beautiful, so gracious, and so principled. And my beloved friend in arms, Parikura. I miss him so much. And whenever I think of Parikura, I think of how important he has been to my family, my baby, my mokopuna that I have raised, Piata, who would have given anything to be Ngāti Parau. She used to come home from school and say to me, "Mama, can I just say that I am?" Because she so wanted Parikura to be her real papa. I have carried those people who have shaped me into the person I have become, and I will love them and my extended whānau forever. Because of them, our tira has a strong foundation. Today is my chance to acknowledge all those who help to keep our waka afloat, to ensure that our tira moves forward. And so I stand to honour so many amazing people in this complex who give so much and so freely. The security teams, the VIP drivers, the messengers, the library staff, the travel team, all of these people constantly go out of their way to make our lives easier. The cleaners who restore order in our offices and on our floor, the Bellamy team, the clerk of the house, our interpreters, the conscientious team in the Cabinet Office, Parliamentary and ministerial services. Your sacrifices were many and your dedication has been appreciated. On the many sides of this ware are those whom I have served alongside of, whether at the Cabinet table, at Select Committee, being held to account at question time or in political panels, all of you who do work so hard for what you believe in. I would not have come to Parliament if it was not for the endorsement of the Right Honourable Helen Clark and the Honourable Marianne Street. And I will never forget that it was your trust in me and your advocacy that got me here. And I will always remember that. There were other people in Labour whom I valued working with, and many of you, and I won't name you all, but there were some that I learnt so much from. I think of Tim Barnett, who when I used to go to caucus, I could never get a paper through until Tim took it off me and worked on it for me. Annette King, who was an amazing minister and who taught me so much. And I want to mihi to you today, Annette. And Darren Hughes, that amazing young man, Darren Hughes, who I thought would one day be the leader of the Labour Party and who in fact would end up being the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And I miss him so much. He was a great young man, a beautiful young man. I mihi to my colleagues who were the foundation members of the Māori Party, because you have shaped a new horizon for this country. You have imbued this chamber with the beauty and force of te reo Māori. You have established cultural competency as a norm, and you have ensured that nobody gets left behind. We are stronger because of your influence, bolder because of your integrity. Dr. Peter Sharples. I hate following him in speeches. I said Mr. Nice Guy, but I should have said Mr. Funny Guy. He's always Mr. Nice Guy. He's never one to look for the problems. He's always positively focused. Te Ururo, the steady hand on the rudder, steering us on the right course, the general manager of everything, the ideal member of Parliament who understands process so well, a great leader. Hone Harawira, my great friend, who has also been my great foe. How do you really love the essence of someone and yet be so frustrated by them at the same time? Rahui Kātani, the hardest working paddler in our waka. Always willing, always there. And I was so sad because you deserved to win. You put in the hard yards. You were just so great. I have an all-encompassing love for our founding president, Matua Whatarangi Winiata. When we were having arguments in the caucus, not only with Pete would I argue, but often get into stoushes with Honi. And Matua would look at us and I would say to him, Matua, what do you think? And he would say, yes, I'm just trying to work out which kaupapa is operating here today. I want to thank Pam Bird and Nader Glavich, who have been two incredible leaders, for the vital role that you have played, not only in our first 10 years, but in getting us to where we are today. I want to say thank you to Heta Hankston for gifting us our very first constitution. And as much as we have often struggled to keep to the rules, we have tried so hard. I'm indebted to the people of Te Tai Hauauru for your generosity and support to me and my whānau. You have worked tirelessly. I mihi to you all because you believed in the kaupapa of our tūpuna and saw the vision of the Māori Party. And there are many others who have helped along the way of our journey. I mihi to Rob Cooper and Sister Margareta Taurua, who politicised me, probably much to everybody else's dismay. To Professor Sir Mason Jury for your exceptional leadership. To Nancy, to Doug, to Merepeka, to Suzanne, the various departmental heads who comprised the original governance group which set out whānau ora and set us on the right path. I have valued the enormous support that I have received as a minister from officials of various agencies who have provided me with support and advice. I know that I have not been an easy minister for you to serve. And I can acknowledge that, as I am sure officials and others across this House will say so also. How can I ever put into words the love that I have for our parliamentary staff, who have been exceptional, working always beyond the call of duty, one or two of them working almost through the night. I have expected you all to put the people we serve before your agencies and your careers, and I know that that has been a huge sacrifice. And of course my whānau. A wall plaque was given to me by Pati Umanga, somebody whom I just so love, and he gave it to me and it read, "Whānau, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all." And I believe this implicitly. Mr. Speaker, every journey along our river inevitably faces the churning waters of the rapids, the turmoil and the chaos of the repo that we find ourselves swirling within. In this place, I have felt profoundly the pain of the entrenched inequities too many Māori and Pacifica families face, in terms of the lack of equitable access to health, education, housing, employment and economic opportunity. I have at times been devastated by the institutional racism that continues to limit our potential as a people. We should never be silent on the things that matter, the barriers that block our ability to be the best that we can be. And we must never be afraid to talk about anything that we know to be true and that we know to be right. It is only when we let fear take over and when we don't speak up that we let people down. I recall being really nervous when I accepted the role of Minister for Disability Issues. I felt so inadequate to fulfil this position, and I realised very quickly that my job was to listen carefully to the many voices and to translate that into actions with support from the excellent officials and people in the sector. The disability sector has had an enormous influence on me. Their brave audacity to tell their own tale. Nothing about us without us. They asked me to have the confidence and the trust to believe that we can do whatever it takes, to believe in our abilities, not our disabilities, and the words continue to reverberate in my heart and mind. I will always be indebted to the disability communities for your ability to lead with so much dignity and inspiration. In my time here, I have challenged officials that we must not be fixated by a focus on deficits, looking at everything that is wrong. It is so much better to look for the potential in people to change. It is in our attitudes, our ability to think differently, that the key to transformation lies. In this regard, I mihi to those peoples of the Pacific who let me share their journey, ngā waka o kāinga tapu, one of the most revolutionary frameworks that I have ever known. I thank the people of Te Moana Nui a Kiwa who have been so generous in sharing their vision with me. People like Pesita Betty Seal, Tino Pereira, Judge Ida Malosi, Yvonne Crichton Hill, and many others. I acknowledge too the leadership of the Pacific Advisory Group, the Māori Reference Group, for your proactive work in family violence. I mihi to Judge Peter Boscher, to Judge Paul von Dadelson, for your leadership in trusting in people-led solutions. If ever it is possible to form a really strong relationship with a community, it must be the one that has been established for me in the Chathams. Their resilience, their absolute belief in themselves, probably to the detriment of their own growth as they were overlooked by funders, has been totally inspiring. And I thank them for their manaakitanga towards me and towards Chris also. Mr. Speaker, even the steadiest waka can be overturned. And it was that way for me in the early months of 2004 as we reeled to the decisions made in haste around the foreshore and seabed. In those moments of despair, I have always gone to our river, to our awa, to reclaim a sense of being, the blessing of the water that heals. And in that quiet space, I find the answers that lie within me. And so it was for our wānau hapu and iwi as we considered how we would respond to the denial of due process and access to justice, the belittling of our status as tangata whenua, which will always be forever recorded as a modern-day treaty breach. The advent of the foreshore and seabed legislation created the tensions that led to me leaving Labour, and in the same breath gave birth to our Indigenous political movement, the Māori Party. I am not sorry today that that happened and that I left. I have the utmost respect for Georgina Bayer, who sacrificed her political aspirations to stand alongside of me at Ratana. 10 years on, those days are still vividly written in my mind as a milestone moment in the story of our nation. Through the anguish and the pain as the people came together in solidarity, we knew that we were part of an incredible juncture in our history as we witnessed a powerful uprising of the spirit. It was the most evocative moment of my life, to feel the will of the people, the calling of our tūpuna, to reclaim the essence of who we are, to stand up for what we knew was right. It was self-determination in action. As I think of that sea of flags and placards that filled the foreground of Parliament, I am reminded of the image that we see at home every summer when our collective fleet of waka glide into Pūtiki, an amazing expression of pride and of strength, of power and of peace. The Tirohoi waka is a journey of rediscovery in which we literally fall in love with ourselves again. In many ways, so too, for me, is the Māori Party. Put simply, this is the dream of wānau ora, to know ourselves, our strengths, our challenges, and to plot our futures. We cannot talk rangatiratanga and not be self-determining. We know the call from Puao Te Atatu, Matua Whāngai, Kōhanga Reo, Kura Kaupapa, Kura A Iwi, Ware Wānanga, local level solutions, direct resourcing, even closing the gaps. He korowai oranga, Māori and Pacifica and health and social services, all models where the people have put forward a framework for tomorrow. We stand on the shoulders of the past to look forward to a greater future. I want to take this opportunity to mihi to somebody in the House for whom I have huge respect and regard, and that's Hekia. Tēnā koe te minita. I have absolutely loved your passionate belief that all of our children have a right to succeed in education. Second best is not part of your vocabulary, and only excellence will do. When you know that we are preparing the next leaders of this nation, I believe totally in what you are doing, and I want to say that today in this House. One of the most exhilarating experiences of my life was to travel throughout the country, meeting with Māori and Pacifica communities about a whānau way forward. Often the halls were crowded to full capacity, 600 people crammed together, standing room only. It was a buzz, and I'll always remember it.